The Sentinel is known to be reliable, fearless, disciplined, consistent, courageous, motivated, and skillful.
So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances.
All these qualities start from the mind. Your mind can be your worst enemy or your most powerful weapon.
The world becomes your library to help you become better at your craft.
Is this the dagger?
Learn how to achieve greatness and tap into the Sentinel mindset.
This episode is brought to you by The Arena. The Arena focuses on helping law enforcement and security professionals achieve their ultimate work experience, curriculum, and fitness goals. Visit thearenatoronto.com.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this amazing session of the Sentinel Mindset. I am your host, Constantine Ioannou, and of course, my wonderful producer in the house, Mr. Matthew Doyle.
Thanks for having me.
Matthew, you're doing good today?
Fantastic.
Amazing. I think you're going to like this topic today.
Nice.
Today, I'm going to talk about, is violence increasing in our country and across the world? First thing I want to ask you, Matthew.
Yeah.
Do you think violence has increased in the last couple of years?
I have to say, there's been a lot more stresses and pressure on people, and 100% that's going to translate into violence.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that we have listeners all across the world, and I'm pretty sure people can comment on what they're experiencing in their own country. However, because we are filmed in Canada, we're going to focus today on reports that are coming out of Canada. Now, let me just give you an example of a headline. This is coming from the National Post. And it says, violent crime keeps rising. The murder rate is the highest in 30 years.
It's crazy.
Okay? Another one by CTV, who put this out recently, says crime in Canada is up 4% and it's actually returning to pre-pandemic levels. Well, of course, when the pandemic happened, people were in home, not much things were happening.
Yeah.
You know, theft was probably going right down. But now that things have normalized, things are going through the roof, okay? And it's funny and interesting, Matthew, because I'm not going to read the posts. I can send the links. But I was having a conversation with a good friend in the industry, Tony Blauer. And for those of you who do not know who Tony is, I'm going to go into that a little bit later on. But we were talking about just how much crime has increased. And it's happened all across the board: murders, thefts, everything from assaults. It's happening on a regular basis. Now, we just recently talked about this on our podcast, talking about, just how much there is violence happening, but with a lot of unqualified individuals.
Yeah.
Now, whoever's listening to this today, even though we focus on the law enforcement and the security industry, this is going to be open to everyone and anyone, because we're going to be talking about how to prepare yourself, how to create a self-defense IQ so you can be prepared for this. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if you're working in an environment that's going to have violence, or you're just walking down the street, you're just walking your dog, and bam, there's violence. You could be sleeping in your home, bam, you get robbed. You could wake up one day, go to your driveway with your coffee in your hand, hey, my car's gone, right? All these things could be happening, but if we can equip you with some information on what you can do to help yourself create a preventative element,
For sure.
then that's what we'll do. So I asked Tony in a recent interview, and we had him on the show. I asked him, Tony, tell us, do you think crime has increased? Why don't we take a look at that answer, Matthew?
Okay.
And see what he said, and then we'll kind of follow through.
Yeah, let's go. Let's have a look.
All right.
Do you find that just crime in general, or just the danger aspect of every day-to-day living has increased? And do you see it getting worse as we progress as a society?
So the answer obviously is it depends where you live. What that means is yes. When you lose 10, 20, 30% of your police force, when you release 10, 20, 30% of your prisoners, when all the bad guys know it's just catch and release, like these guys don't care that they're being recorded. They don't care that there's CCTV. They don't care if they kill the guy, if they punch him. They don't care because there's not enough cops to arrest me, and if they do arrest me, I'm going to be out of jail tomorrow because they're letting pedophiles and rapists and murderers out of jail. Are they going to keep me in jail for street fighting? I think the more interesting question isn't, do you think crime has gone up? It's are criminals more brazen that puts us more at risk.
Okay. What's your thoughts?
That was incredible. That's good. You know what? The question he really asks on focusing on not is crime increasing.
Yes.
But talking about the criminals, and as someone with a criminology background, that's an incredible question to ask.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, no, look, that's good. So here's the thing. He referenced a couple of things in there. He talked about the justice system.
Yep.
Okay. He talked about, police almost being at a disadvantage. And I'll tell you this, I talk with fellow police, constables on a regular basis, sergeants, the whole 9 yards. You know what they tell me? They say that that the times have changed so much right now that their police officers will walk into an environment and they'll get ambushed. They'll get ambushed.
That's
I'm thinking, what are
crazy.
you talking about getting ambushed? They'll walk into a neighborhood and then suddenly they will get ambushed by an individual or a group. And this is what's happening right now.
That's insane.
And that's what Tony was saying. The system is so messed up right now that people don't have fear anymore, or they're not linking anything to consequences. So if that is what's happening out there to police who are armed,
Yeah.
what about the day-to-day civilian?
What about the rest of us?
What about the rest? And that's the thing, is we deal with a lot. Our business deals in security.
Yeah.
So we don't have the luxury of being able to defend ourselves with an firearm, right? We have to use our minds. We have to use our mindset, our communication, but that may not be enough. So what else can you do to put yourself in a situation to have a good layer of self-defense IQ? What can you do? Now, again, I'm going to reference Tony because Tony has a new product that he's pushed out. It's not new in the sense of he just came up with it. It's over 40 years of studying violence and fear. He's created a program called the Human Weapon System. But we don't want to just throw the program out. We want to create some dialogue, some education of what this is about. Now, for those of you that are maybe asking, who is Tony Blauer? Where Tony's been a visible force in the martial arts, the self-defense, and defense tactics combatives industry for over 4 decades. For 40 plus years, this man has been in the scene. His organization has grown into one of the world's leading consulting companies, specializing in the research and the development of performance, psychology, personal safety, and close quarter tactics, and, which I love this, scenario-based training for law enforcement, military, and professional self-defense instructors.
Fantastic.
His research on the neuroscience of fear and startle-flinch led to the development of the SPEAR system. And that's what we had him on the show, was regarding the SPEAR system. But what he's put out right now is a program called the Human Weapon System. And basically what this is basically a program that helps you develop your self-defense IQ so you can have the advantage over the bad guys. And again, you don't have to be in the industry to do this. But what we're going to be playing right after this is we're going to actually do a encore performance on the episode that we had with Tony, because I really want you guys to understand who this individual was. Matthew, the world right now is absolutely nuts.
It's scary.
It's dangerous, and it's getting more and more dangerous every single day.
100%.
And, we need to ensure people know how to protect themselves and think strategically when fear is racing through their veins. We need to improve critical thinking. We need to teach people to manage fear. And most importantly, we need to inspire people to choose courage. How many times, my pet peeve, how many times have you seen people in a situation taking their phones out, someone screaming in distress, and a phone is right in their face?
Rather than helping the individual.
So these are the things that I'm talking about. Now, inside each and every one of us are natural and powerful systems ready to employ to ensure our survival. Look at it like a video game. You unlock a level, and we have the mindset, we have the brainwave, we have the fundamental core elements to tap into these things.
We have the tools.
We have the tools. So this is what this is all about. It's about developing that IQ, that self-defense IQ, so you can win. So if you're with a family member and you're out at a resort on holidays and someone robs you, which by the way, that happened to me. That's another story. That actually happened to me 2 weeks ago.
That's crazy.
But that's another story. That you'll be able to know how to navigate around that.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I'll say this, because again, someone might be thinking, well, this doesn't really apply to me. I'm maybe a 20-year-old. I'm in high school. I'm someone that deals in IT. Okay. I'm saying all those because the last SPEAR course that Tony Blauer put a couple of months ago at the arena, when I went there, Matthew, I saw teenagers. I saw a woman that was there, but I asked her what she did. What she did for a living? She says, "I'm just a housewife. I'm just a housewife." I don't think just.
I don't think so.
That's that to me. I'll put you on the same level as a lawyer. Okay. Anyways, there was also some gentlemen in there that were in IT, and I asked them, guys, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this course? Because it's so common for people in the protection industry to level up and do this. Why are you guys doing it? They said, because we want an edge to be able to know how to maneuver and how to have a defense element if we're if danger is knocking on the door. What do I do?
100%.
So I was fascinated that your average civilian was jumping into this course. And what this is, the human weapon system, it's a coach by Tony Blauer. It's a course by Coach Tony Blauer, and I would say it's probably referenced as his most important program to date. I would say that.
I would say so as well.
Based on what they're putting out there, and I just want to say that with someone who has 40 years of studying violence and fear, this program is probably the most important of all his defense courses. And it lays the foundation and includes the latest research, drills, and tactics to improve, again, as I keep on saying over and over again, your defense IQ, your self-defense IQ. So at this present moment, as we're just hearing all this, and we're hearing that crime is increasing, we're hearing that things are getting worse, they're not getting better.
No.
We're also hearing that there is a shortage of law enforcement resources. There's a shortage of police resources right now.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're having a difficult time finding good people. And if this is happening across the board, across the world, what are you going to do to give yourself the edge? What are you going to do to yourself to level up that mindset? So, and then prepare yourself for anything. So we're going to dive in. We're going to watch this episode that Tony put out. I encourage everyone that listens to it, that if you have any questions around it, you can always reach back out to us. But we will be providing more information about the human weapon system put over by Tony Blauer. We will provide more information to do this. But it's something that I think many, many people should seek to give yourself a level. How you should be looking at this is this. And I'm going to give it an example. I'm someone that thinks a lot about bad things.
Yeah.
And it doesn't I'm going to say just stronghold my mind down where I can't think about anything else. But it's on my mind. And I think about death a lot.
It's always present.
Okay. And I don't think about death in a morbid way, but how can I avoid dying?
For sure.
Okay. And it does not have to be now on the job. It could be, what about the foods that you eat?
Yeah.
Can they help you die over the long term? What about the substances you put in your body? Alcohol, cigarettes, cigars. What about substances? What about stress, anxiety? I think about everything.
There's so many factors.
There's so many factors where you can die.
Yeah.
Right? So many factors. But at the end of the day, we usually not put in maybe I might be held at gunpoint, or maybe I might get attacked in an alley, or maybe I might get robbed, or maybe something. We usually don't think like that.
No.
Remember,
we think it won't happen to us.
you don't think it would happen to you. And most people who don't have a home alarm in their homes right now, well, if you get robbed, I know you'll get one tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the preventative element.
Yeah.
Right? So I encourage anyone, when you're listening to this episode that we released a couple of months ago, answer the questions of, are you prepared? Are you set up for success? Do you have a layer of self-defense IQ? Can you truly be the protector of your household? And if these things come into play and it resonates with you, the next couple of posts that we're going to be putting out are going to complement all this. They're going to help you level up, and they're going to give you something that we highly, highly support, and that is the ability to tap into the self-defense IQ.
Amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a fantastic day. We will be putting a lot more of this information out. Please feel free to comment. We will be providing case studies. We're providing research, everything that would help you level up. And again, Tony Blauer will have all the links below. If you want to tap into who this individual is, we highly encourage it. Have a fantastic week. Stay safe, and let's get some opportunities. Take care, everyone.
Have a good one.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this wonderful special edition of the Sentinel Mindset. Now, today we got a very special guest, Mike.
Yes,
and
we do.
I'm going to just do a little bit of reading, if you're okay with that, who our next guest is.
100%.
So today we're going to be talking to Tony Blauer. Okay. Now, Mike, I know you have a good understanding of who he is, but maybe some of the audience doesn't. So I want to just share a little bit about that.
Yes, good.
Now, Tony, he's been a visible force in the martial arts, self-defense, defensive tactics, and combatives industry for over 4 decades. His organization has grown into one of the world's leading consulting companies, specializing in the research and development of performance psychology, personal safety and close quarter tactics, and scenario-based training for law enforcement, military, and professional SAF instructors. His research on the neuroscience of fear and the startle-flinch led to the development of the SPEAR system, a modern personal defense system based on physiology, physics, and psychology.
Which has worldwide acclaim, by the way.
That's it.
Yeah.
Now, after decades of interviewing victims of violence encounters and studying violence, he has created the Known Fear program, which focuses on managing fear through self-awareness, resiliency, and a movement mindset. Keyword, Mike, mindset.
Yes, absolutely.
Lastly, this program has also been integrated by psychologists, helping vets to deal with PTSD. Now, this is just scratching the surface. Tony, welcome to the show, man.
Hey guys, good to meet you finally. And we've got a lot of mutual friends, and I was commenting before we started recording, and what a cool set. And I feel honored and excited to be here.
Thank you so much, man.
Well, this old thing, we put a lot of love and work here. I should just, our disclaimer, it's a lot smaller room in person, but that's okay. We're transparent. I think we were talking kind of offline about kind of your background. Before we get into your background and kind of just the great things that you've accomplished, because I think it's funny. I've met so many people who speak about you, and when they speak about you, it's as if they know you. And I don't know why, you kind of talk about someone and they're at arm's length. People talk about you, and it's with such intimacy. And the bizarre thing about that is because, look, full disclaimer here, if you see any of your videos, I mean, you're intimate. You're in there, elbows and everything. And you're a very physical guy. I resonate with that because I grew up with brothers. We literally beat the crap out of each other every single day. Okay. And
Nice.
and I say that I want to ask about your background first in your in the Zoom call here. Like, give us, you were alluding that there's a little story kind of behind what you have in your setting.
Now, for those that are listening and not watching, there is a little beautiful neon sign that says "fuck fear." So let's talk about what that is.
Yeah, so I always make a joke, and it's funny because we're in a new chapter of the world: cancel culture, defund the police, anti anything security, the whole Antifa, all the craziness. So I was on and there's certain states in the USA that are very, very liberal and I had this meeting for it was for a mental health group, and we have a whole other program called Spear Care that's designed for hospitals and EMS, and it's completely different. And CARE, SPEAR, of course, is an acronym for Spontaneous Protection Enabling Accelerated Response. It's all about understanding the neurobiology of our survival system and how a sudden violent stimulus can trigger a reactive brain override. In other words, it hijacks, you get amygdala hijack, your reactive brain takes over, executive function is compromised. We'll get deeper into that if you want after.
Yeah.
But that's so important, especially for protectors, especially for anybody in security, law enforcement, public safety, because there's an assumption when you do your block-based training, okay, when he does this, you do this, shoot, no shoot, here's how you handcuff somebody, here's how you pat somebody down, blah, blah, blah. A lot of it, I was just talking this morning, I taught 2 classes already, and I was explaining to people that when we watch surveillance video to study CCTV, body cam, whatever, like, dumb phone video of, somebody filming something, And we go, what do you know, and we're doing our after action. It's easy to be the armchair quarterback and go, wow, why did he wave off backup? And how come he didn't step here? I'd have controlled the space. And we do this dogmatically. We don't realize in the moment that, and I did this as an exercise, and I'm a stream of consciousness speaker. So like I'll tell 9 stories at once.
Let's go. We're on the ride.
In this week's online class, we teach online a lot because people from all over the world, they can't get to me personally, and I make myself available 4 times a week on Zoom. And we always do like evidence-based scenario training. We go, why are we practicing? Like, we're not practicing to spar. We're practicing if God forbid something happens in the real world, you know, what are you going to do? And so I show this video. And I tell everyone I'm going to play this video. It was a guy getting sucker punched by 3 guys on a subway, you know, like a metro. And just for my Canadians don't know what subways are, right? It's metro. So I don't know if you know this, but I grew up in Canada and I moved to the States in 2008.
No, no idea.
I grew up in Montreal. Don't hold that against me.
Montreal.
And I actually went to school at York University.
Oh,
okay,
very
good.
nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah, shout out to those at York. Okay.
You and Elon Musk. He went there too. We just found out.
Did he really? I think I gave him the idea for Tesla, and he won't return my call.
There, you passed him a note.
Yeah, make an electric car. But the so I told them, I said, here's the video. There's 3 guys. They're having words with this other guy. It's a racial thing. I said, I'm going to let you watch it once, and then I'm going to give you 30 seconds to write down everything that you kind of like absorb from this video and what you would do, how would you stand, how would you control the distance, what would you do? And I went ready, everyone's getting ready, and I hit play, and then I stopped it at 9 seconds. And I'm watching everybody like with their pen and their pad, like, why'd you stop it, coach? And I went, because I stopped it at 9 seconds, the guy had already been knocked out. I said, you were waiting for 30 seconds and you were absorbing what was going on. And how many of you had an idea of what you were going to do in the first 9 seconds? And nobody did, right? Because I had set up 30 seconds exercise. And I explained to them, I'm like, in a real violent encounter, you don't even have time to dial 911.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, a big part of our, like, I do certain presentations for tactical groups and online, in person, and I have a presentation called Violence Loves Speed.
Oh, that's good.
The premise of that is, like, in a real violent encounter, it's already in motion when the protector, when the PSD, when the bodyguard, when the cop, when the operator realizes, oh fuck, here's the attack. You know, if it's at a distance on a radar, we go, shit, this is going to be here in 2 minutes, guys. Like let's deploy our plan. But for most of us, like on this call and probably your audience, that attack is happening like 2, 3, 4, 5 feet out. You're in a crowd, you're with somebody, you're in a bar, you're whatever. And what I was explaining to people in the call and sharing with your audience now is that on game day, you can't be a different tactical athlete. You can't have a new gun, or if you're not armed, you can't have new physical skills. You can't have bigger biceps. On game day, all that matters is mindset. And I've got a bunch of articles on it. But one of them is called "Movement is Mental."
Mm-hmm.
The mind navigates the body, and you guys probably use this term, and a lot of people do, and I did for years. Muscle memory.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, there's no muscle memory. Muscles don't have the capacity to store memory. So memory is a function of different parts of your brain, and there's motor engrams and neural patterns and myelinization of a neuron and signal speed and all this nerdy shit where people are going like, what's he talking about? What's he talking about? I don't even know what I'm talking about. But the idea is this. If I don't have any, I don't have any.
You got some arrows behind you.
Yeah, I got arrows and I got a tomahawk and I got knives and other shit here. But if I take this Winkler tomahawk and I put it in my hand, and then I take this other knife, right, and I cut my arm off, my arm is not going to attack you because there's no muscle memory. And the joke I'm making there in that weird, bizarre, comic-y visual is that if we don't have our brain connected to the problem of the scenario, if there's no situational awareness connected to our training and our mindset, we're not going to deploy a move, whether it's a counter, a block, a transition.
Yeah.
This all
There's no
started,
spear. There's no
right?
spear, air quotes.
Yes.
Well, and so this all started with, hey, explain fuck fear. All of this training happens in the connection that I want to make, and I'm doing this pregnant pause because I want it to be impactful. The mind navigates the body.
Mm-hmm.
No awareness, no chance. It doesn't matter if you're skilled. If I say to both you guys, do both of you have your phones with you?
We do.
Yeah.
Okay, look at your phones. I just sent you a message. Now look on the screen. I'm punching you, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
so anyone
exactly.
watching this, I just got you to look at your phone, then I sucker punched you.
That's
In other
it.
words, no awareness, no chance. If I go, hey guys, you got the principal? Yeah. Okay, let's switch off here. Here's the access key. If the attack happens then, like right at that micro moment there, everyone's compromised. We've got to recalibrate. We've got to weather the ambush, get back in the fight. It's an extreme example, but everyone thinks, oh, it's like head on a swivel, situational awareness, and then I'll do that. And what I discovered over decades of studying violence, fear, and aggression, and this started back in the 80s. The 80s were my incubator period. You know, where I was like, all my students were guinea pigs. I didn't even know what the experiment was. It was just following intuition. But we would do 1-on-1s, 2-on-1s, 6-on-2s. It was all, and again, I grew up in Canada. We had hockey gauntlets on, baseball shin guards, a taekwondo chest guard, and we would dress up like Frankenstein and beat the living shit out of each other, videotape it. Mike, you look like you got good genetics, so I can't tell how old you are. Constantine, you're an aging athlete, but you look good. But I make it a joke, like
we're both in our 40s.
Okay, so you just know what VHS tapes were. This is back in the day. We're videotaping shit with VHS. We'd watch it and we go, wow, I thought this would happen. I thought this would happen. But I was doing everything scenario based starting 1980. And truthfully, you know, when people refer to like our system and research as pioneering in that sense, nobody was doing that. And what I discovered, and it occurred to me in the mid 80s when I started, I was putting together a program called Cerebral Self-Defense, The Mental Edge. And when I did my first video series with Panther Productions, right, the original, you know, online education platform that had Jean-Yves Thériault and like Paul Vunak and all these old OG guys. My first video was called Cerebral Self-Defense, The Mental Edge. And I would explain to people, look, there's no such thing as muscle memory. In a high stress situation, you need to be your own coach. In a violent encounter, I can't turn to Maya Angelou Dundee and go, hey, what should I do here? I got to take care of shit.
Yep. And
this is the fuck fear thing. So fuck is an acronym. It's not being cavalier and cool. I got a tattoo and I swear. It's fuck. It stands for, the F stands for face it. The U stands for understand it. The C stands for control it. And the K stands for know it. So the program evolved into our corporate program is called No Fear, KNOW.
Yes.
The difference between No Fear, you remember the old adrenaline company, the No Fear company?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I used to make a joke, I'd have all their shirts and I go, these shirts are flawed because I'm still afraid. And I would wear them at talks and make the joke about that. And I'd say, if you really want to understand how to manage fear, you need to lean into fear. You need to study fear and you need to do scenarios that make you go, ah. Now, 9 stories, watch it all converge here. When the world went crazy in the last couple of years, like violence has gone crazy all over the place. But there were a bunch of broad daylight armed robberies up in LA. So I live in California now.
Okay.
And I remember watching some of these brazen attacks, guys just walking up like people eating a table. Give me your Rolex, give me your purse, give me your shopping bags. And I wrote a long article on it. I wrote several articles on it, but what I wrote was this. I've been studying violence, fear, and aggression for 43 years. On 9/11, I was down at Fort Bragg teaching the most elite tier 1 counterterrorist group in the world. These are some of my clients, different departments of defense, Australia, Canada, USA, right? Not mentioning names, but all the big boys. Most of the acronym agencies have either contracted with us or sent people to us, plus local, state, federal. And I've been doing this for decades, since 1993. So here I am. This is, let's say, a year and a half ago. So 60 years old, thousands of students. I'm doing gun shit, multiple assailant, confined space, capture avoidance, crazy courses we put together. And I sat there and I wrote from my heart authentically. I said, I know what I could do. I don't know what I would do. And I went on to explain, saying one of the biggest problems we have with our industry is people are quick to critique and judge and say, I'd have done this, when they have no idea what they do until they were in the shit. And the only way you would know how close you might be is if your training was reality-based. Yes, and everyone uses that term, but most reality-based training isn't very realistic.
Right.
So long story, wrap it up and let you fire some questions at me, is while doing scenarios in the 80s, I noticed this. I'd have, let's say, 20 people in the class. And there'd be and it was open. It wasn't in the 80s. It was just general public. I wasn't specializing in, cops or military, etc. And so I'd have like a 120-pound girl there that was sitting there like this and freaking out that she signed up for this force on force, like it was Fight Club before Fight Club was a movie, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then there's like a big guy there, cauliflower ears, busted nose, sitting around looking, sizing people up, and then 18 other people. And there were instances where I'd go, fuck, this guy's pretty big. I hope he doesn't hurt anybody. And I'd tell people about the safety and guys, we're really fighting, but we're not really fighting, right? You can nail each other. We've got plexiglass helmets. You can really kick each other. But I would tell people training should hurt, but should never injure. We had certain rules, right? Like, don't be an asshole. That's good. And I seen big guys quit, tap, run away from a scenario. And then I've seen little girls, like I described, fight like a fucking demon badger.
Yeah.
But no, not technique. They weren't doing spinning back kicks and wushu and Chuck Norris and John Wick. What I was seeing was indignation, will, tenacity, grit. And that helped inspire our whole No Fear program. And I summed it up by saying the people who manage their fear manage to fight. The people who manage their fear manage to fight. It doesn't guarantee victory, but it guarantees you're in the fight. And what it was on game day when they were doing this stuff, guys, it wasn't technique. It was tactical. They were fighting. They had an objective. Not get dragged into a car, not get taken to the ground, break contact and run to that escape route that represent freedom. So it was really interesting. And I was like, holy shit, because as a lifelong martial artist, what we want to believe is that technique will save the day or solve the problem. But if you look at most violent encounters, you don't see good shooting or good kicking or good punching or good striking or good
sloppy. It's just sloppy survival.
It's sloppy. But what's driving the let's call it tenacity, fancy word for in brackets, work ethic. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit.
Yeah, there's a relentless.
They're relentless because of fear management. And I discovered that you can improve that protocol. And part of that became years later. Hey, if you want to manage fear, you need to lean into fear. So fear, Customato, Tyson's original coach, he has a great metaphor, and I'm going to just paraphrase it. He says, fear's like fire, and it can cook your food and warm your house if you control it. But if you let it get out of control, it'll burn your food and burn your house down. And you need to control your fear.
Tony, let me ask you a question. Can somebody be desensitized to fear?
So I'd have to understand more what you're thinking, but certain people, what you can do is you can get what's called, there's an adaptation if you're getting stress inoculated, meaning like let's say I go, I'm going to teach you to blink less and focus on the target. So put on gloves, put on a mouth guard, and I go, okay, Constantine, ready? Whack. And I punch you in the face, and you're like, oh shit. And I go like, hey, concentrate on the slipping, read the distance, think proxemics. Well, for the first lesson or 10 lessons, you're like shitting your pants, worrying about getting punched in the face. Then eventually you go, this isn't so bad. I get what he's talking about. Or you do one and it feels good.
Yeah.
So, and I love this expression, nothing breeds success like success itself. So now you've got a dopamine hit where when I do it right, it feels good. And so what happens is you do it again, you do it again. And eventually, like if I said to you, hey, Mike Tyson's a little pissed off at you and he wants to spar you, both of you, I don't care how good boxers you are going like, I don't care that Mike Tyson's like 65 years old. He's going to tear the shit out of me. And now, if we focus on the fear, we're sparring like this.
Oh yeah,
The fear is controlling what we think and what we see.
Yes.
So this is a neat thing about your question. It's an interesting question. When I talk about fear management, and this is like my biggest focus, like I've got a whole training team that teaches all over the world. We've got a group en route to the UAE right now. We just finished a course in Australia. So I've got teams that deploy all over. My big focus now is teaching people more about fear management, because you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you got to manage your fear. You want to make your marriage work, you got to manage your fear. You want to navigate your next violent encounter, you got to manage your fear. You want to lift heavier weights, you got to manage your fear, right? You want to be better at public speaking, you got to manage your fear. When I look at every single challenge in life, unconscious or consciously, there's a fuck, I'm afraid I'm going to avoid that. A lot of people don't say that, they just make an excuse. So back to your question, desensitization in the classical
usage,
Pavlovian
or understanding,
Pavlovian, like classical conditioning perspective, we can desensitize somebody where if I ask like an amateur boxer, are you afraid to get punched in the face? He's going to look at you and go, no. If I ask a pro boxer, you afraid to get punched in the face? No. But maybe we find a video of him when he went to the gym when he was 12 years old, and he's blinking and he's turning and he's crying, and his coach says, look, you either want this or you don't. Sit out this round. If you want it, go home or get back in the ring, right? I've had people cry at our courses. I mentor them for a minute. I go, I know this is scary, but if you can't manage your fear, you're not going to manage to fight. It doesn't matter what you're doing. And then they go back in. And this is why the C, this is a great question, actually, in terms of like the serendipity of it, because the C in fuck throws people off. Face it means don't turn away from it. The stimulus is coming towards you and you go, yeah, I'm going to avoid this and ignore this. It's not going away. It's, you guys, imminent, immediate. If it's real danger, it's not going away. It's not going to, like, real danger is not going to go, oh, look, Mike's scared, so let's not fucking scare the shit out of him. It's like, it's still coming. That's why I say violence with speed. It's still moving. So face it. That's the first thing. It's like, okay, fuck. Understand it. If you have time, because it's a moving continuum. If you get intel that there's going to be an attack on one of your clients, like, that's important. But you go, wait a minute. Right now, my client is in their house. We have cameras, we got dogs, we got people, but there's a trip coming up in 10 days. That could be the only time something's going to happen. You have 10 days to fucking figure this out. Versus you're standing in a club and you're going, hey, boss, we really need to get out of here. We've signed too many autographs.
Yeah.
And then you go, what the fuck's this? What the fuck's this? You see somebody moving too quickly. There's an anomaly. You're like, and you're alone. And there's 50 people around you. Now violence loves speed. It's the same 10-day continuum, but it's 10 seconds out.
Yes.
And the way you process whatever your SOPs are, whatever your protocols are, you've got to first clear the fear. Do you guys shoot? I know it's Canada, right? So no, just kidding, guys. Right. But if you've got a gun and you get a double feed or a stovepipe, even though you're armed, your gun doesn't work until you clear the malfunction. So I metaphorically go, your fear spike is a malfunction in your operating system. And if you don't have the self-awareness to go, fuck, 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 I just said fuck 3 times in a row. How many times have you seen videos of a police officer going, don't move, let me see your hands, let me see your... If you're repeating it more than 2 times and your voice is getting higher, you're in the fear loop.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Lack of self-awareness perpetuates that. Good self-awareness improves critical thinking. The combination of good self-awareness, critical thinking improves your situational awareness.
Okay.
It's all connected. So now to the C part, control. So a lot of people train with us and they think when they graduate our course, whether it's our digital or they hire me or my company, they go, so like, hey, this is great. I fucking, because when you finish any course, you're like, yeah,
always,
yeah, and you're like that. And then you leave and you go, I wonder if I can remember this like in a week, like, or
leave it that evening.
Yeah. And so when I make it a point of telling people this is a fear management course, we're not eradicating fear. If I said to you guys, and I'm trying to give you, let's say you were grapples. I don't know if you do jiu-jitsu. Either of you grapple?
Here and there, not much.
Yeah,
no,
just for fun.
Okay, so I'll use an example. Let's say you decide to enter like a fun tournament with a bunch of aging athletes, and it's just like a fun tournament. But you're competitive because you're type A personalities like me and everyone in this industry.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Like, why would you be a protector if you didn't like to control things?
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, do whatever you want. We're safe. Like, drive wherever you want. Do whatever you want. Talk to whoever you want. Right. And everyone's a control freak. I make this joke. We're not obnoxious about it, but I like, someone comes over to my house and they sit down to talk to me at the kitchen table. I notice if they don't push the chair back, because when I'm in somebody's house, I push the chair back. If I were in your studio and I stood up after, I'd roll the chair back to where I found it. And if you gave me a coffee, I'd go, hey, where do you want this when I'm done? Where's the sink? And maybe that's just how I was raised. But I'm using this grappling analogy because it resonates with what most of my audience are cops, and grappling is so big. I go, so you enter a tournament because it's good for you, and you're looking around because guys will size up, and you're wondering, I wonder if I'm going to take home a medal today. I mean, I don't really care. This isn't, but you want to win.
Right.
And you size up everybody and you go, you know what? I think I'm going to fucking win today. And then just before the tournament starts, you hear a clamor near the door, and Hoist Gracie walks in and says, you guys know who Hoist Gracie is?
The great.
Whatever. And he goes, hey, can I sign up? This is for over 40, right? And
because he's just passing through.
You immediately go, oh, fuck. He will destroy both of us. Okay, well, maybe we'll come in second or third. And then just before it's about to start, like in walks, Carlos Machado, like another great.
There you go. Hey, shout out to Machado.
Shit, maybe I'll get third place. And then in walks like another legend, Gordon Ryan. I don't know if you follow modern.
Or GSP. Shout out to Montreal.
Or GSP or anyone. Shout out to George. George is an interesting anecdote. So, I used to teach our combatives class at TriStar, where George was studying and teaching Kyokushinkai. He used to bow to me in the hallway because I was in all the Black Belt magazine, Karate Illustrated. And Conrad Pla, who used to own it, had pictures of me up on the wall, and he would bow to me. And he was just George St. Pierre. He wasn't Rush yet. He hadn't done any MMA. That's how old back. I gave. So, Faraz, George's coach. Yes. So Faraz and George and Dave Loiseau, I gave them prototypes of high gear to practice ground and pound when they were still before UFC was even in Canada.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
That's how. But anyways, in this metaphor,
used to be illegal.
Yeah. In this metaphor, gang, is you went from I think I'm going to win to Hoist comes in, Machado comes in, George comes in, and you haven't even done anything, and you went first place me, I think. Oh, okay, second. Oh no, third or fourth. And what you did is you beat yourself up in your mind, and And so I love this acronym for fear, false expectations appearing real. It's when I'm visualizing a future event that is compromising my mindset and my performance in the present.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though you haven't even grappled yet, you went, maybe I'll come in fourth now.
Mm-hmm.
And we do that all the time. We look at somebody, go, I'm going to go ask her for a date. She's out of my league. Forget it. You reject yourself. And or shit, should I do something here? Should I be the courageous bystander? Shit, this guy looks like he'll kick my ass. I'll pretend I didn't see that. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's fascinating. So the C part is actually the most complicated and important part of the acronym. The C means control my fear. And what that means is, or what it implies is, there are going to be many scenarios in our lives that we need to take care of afraid. That there's no such thing as no fear.
Yes.
It's control your fear and get it done. And if you think, like, it was interesting, I had I just forgot who it was, but I just interviewed him. Ron Engelman, Israeli Defense Force.
Mm-hmm.
So I had him on my podcast, and we were talking about stuff, and it was interesting. He didn't even realize he said it. He said, I remember my first gunfight where we took direct fire. I was just a private. I was like 19 years old, and we jumped behind columns and then the corporals were like turning and they were flinching, and I realized, like, we're gonna, if we don't return fire, if we don't do something, we're gonna lose it here.
Yeah.
And he said, I suddenly got really clear. He says, I wasn't accurate, I wasn't technical, but I was able to get and I said, what were your corporals doing who were more trained and more experienced than you? He said, they were still like cowering behind shit. And I pointed out to him how interesting that was. I said, what you did there is you didn't go, I need to reload some bullets and get a reloading machine. You didn't go, I need a flamethrower, not this, AR or whatever. You didn't go, look, I need to go to the range and requalify. You got in the fight. What you did is you managed your fear.
Mm-hmm.
And you can remember not being as accurate as you want, but then years later, shit would happen and you were more accurate. The single biggest takeaway there is he controlled his fear.
Yes, enough to actually have a response.
Yeah. And so it's face it, understand it, control it, and then you get to know it. And so, like, if you're a soldier, if you're in law enforcement, if you're in public safety, if you're in security, there will be repetitive occurrences of events that in reality you should get better at handling and managing, but you got to manage yourself first before you can manage the threat. And so that's the self-awareness piece. So
I think essentially, are you saying, like, going back to Constantine's question about being desensitized, you're saying you can never really be desensitized. You just know it. It becomes something that you're very familiar with. You understand.
So we've created a formula to like if you think about a fear spike as like a stovepipe.
Mm-hmm.
The first time you got a stovepipe at the range, you stopped shooting, you turned to the range master and you went, what do I do with this? If you hadn't been taught to clear your handgun, you didn't clear, you didn't touch it. Double feed. Hey, excuse me, sir. What the hell's this? Man, you got a shitty grip. Okay, I'm going to clear this for you. Don't flag me next time. And, here, tick, tick, tick. Okay, work your grip, right? Eventually, you learn how to clear it yourself. So what that means is, in this metaphor, is you're not, in the literal sense, you're not desensitized to fear. What's happened is when you get the fear spike, you clear it faster than you recognize. So maybe like St. Pierre actually recently came out with a bunch of videos. We use it we use a clip of it in some of our presentations, where it's him saying, the worst day of my life is every day I had to fight. I was so afraid. I had fear. I hated it. But if we show a picture of George doing the first Superman punch, drilling somebody in the face, 5% body fat, leaping across the ring. And if I said to you, this guy is afraid, you'd go, which guy?
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't, somebody in the audience, like, Mike Tyson used to throw up before fights.
Yeah.
And cry before fights, but nobody knows that when you see them. And so they clear their fear before they engage.
Mm-hmm.
And we figured out a psychological recipe or formula to help people do that faster. And as you experience it more, you get faster at the steps and the stages, just like clearing a gun. It's clearing a metaphoric malfunction in your brain. And it goes like this. Everything's cool. You're walking down the street. All of a sudden, a fear spike, some stimulus is presented to you, and you go, oh shit. Your physiology changes. You go from parasympathetic to sympathetic, right? You start chest breathing, your heart rate's elevated, and now you're worrying about the future. Everybody does that.
That's good, man.
So here's the thing, like even in your business, I'm sure you train people and run them through you when you hire somebody to the company.
Right.
They go through training. Well, in the beginning, like they're not performing where you want. They're students of the system. And then you're running scenarios. You go, that was way better, but look how slow it took you. Look how long, what were you thinking here? Right? Tell me what was going through your, and you get them to think more clearly. At the end of the day, it was funny because I spent some time with Sugar Ray Leonard. And it was in Montreal when he fought Duran. And he was 24, I was 20. So we were just kids chatting. He's in my car with me, we're hanging out. And I say to him, it was the second fight after he had let Dundee go. It was after he beat Duran in the second fight, the No Moss fight. He came back to Montreal because he had to have some meetings. The government was trying to tax him too much. And he came back with his lawyer, Mike Traynor. I found out he was in town. I hit him up. I had been with him when he fought Duran when they fought at the Olympic Stadium. So I was like, hey, man, it was 2 years later, I think, a year and a half later. So we get together and I said, I got to ask you a question because you and Angelo Dundee split up. I said, he's one of the greatest boxing coaches in the world. And I just need to know, because I coach people. I like hearing like world champs perspective on strategy and fear and mindset. And I said to him, like, don't you need Angelo? Like, doesn't that change your confidence moving into the ring? And he looked at me, he said, Tony, at this stage of the game, if I need Angelo to tell me what to do in between rounds, then Angelo should be in the ring and I should be on the other side of the ropes.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, I loved what he said because it's a movie line. It's a line you want your hero in the next Rocky
so
to
good.
say.
Yes.
But it's also, we all need coaches and mentors. In one of the UFC's Ultimate, when Don Fry fought Tank Abbott, did you guys ever see that fight?
I never saw that fight.
It was like a fucking, I think they're on UFC 9 million or whatever. This was like UFC 10.
Okay, yeah.
I was at UFC 1 on the cage writing for 3 martial art magazines. That's how old I am. I'm like a rock, interviewing Hoist, Shamrock and all that. But I'm at UFC 10 and Don Fry, who's like a wicked street fighter, serious martial artist, he's about to fight Tank Abbott, who's just destroying people. And right before the fight, Don Fry looks at me, leans into me, and says, "Pray for me, brother."
Wow.
In other words, he went in there and he ended up beating Tank Fry. You should Google Don Fry Tank Abbott fight.
Tank Abbott.
It's like an insane street fight. They're just fucking wailing on each other, smashing each other. It's violent and crazy. But when somebody of Don Fry's world-class caliber leans in and says, "Pray for me, brother," what he's doing is he's saying fuck fear without using my language.
Yes.
He's saying, I'm so scared. But what he's asking for is like, are you with me?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what that is, gang, and when I say gang, I'm talking about everyone listening to this. Hope you're digging the conversation. What this is this idea that we all need a coach. In that moment, I was a spiritual coach. I didn't say anything or do anything. I'm not a religious guy. I didn't go, okay, I didn't know what to do. I just looked at him and I leaned in and I just looked in his eyes and my eyes just said, just go, I probably said something, go fucking destroy him. right? Like go do what you got to do. And
which
I
is
said,
a prayer in a different kind of language. It's still a
right,
prayer.
but that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's kind of heavy. It's very nuanced, but
No, but I mean,
But sometimes, to your point, Tony, like people will say things like when something is on you and on your mind, sometimes by just releasing the words out of your mouth is therapeutic
it takes
in
the weight
itself.
off your shoulders.
That's it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. You brought this up a little bit earlier about how just 2023, the last 3 years have been chaotic years. I actually asked this question to some people in Vegas, some protectors, but I wanted to get your perspective on this. Do you find that just crime in general, or just the danger aspect of every day-to-day living has increased, and do you see it getting worse as we progress as a society?
I mean, so the answer obviously is it depends where you live. And so what that means is yes. When you lose 10, 20, 30% of your police force, when you release 10, 20, 30% of your prisoners, when all the bad guys know it's just catch and release, when there's anti-police, I mean, there were serious level celebrities and politicians bailing out criminals in the States, right? I mean, during the whole George Floyd, all that like craziness.
You know what? I think we lost the audio for a sec. Can you repeat that again? You said there's high level, there's celebrities and politicians that are.
Yeah. So you remember during the George Floyd riots and all that, there were politicians and celebrities bailing out people from jail, bailing out criminals.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And so, if I say to my teenage kid, you do whatever you want, steal my car, go into mom's purse. If I catch you doing that, I'm going to go and say, don't do that again. And there's no repercussion. You're not grounded. You're not going to lose your car, your phone. You're not going to, like if you have if you were a shitty parent and you got a shitbag kid, that's going, they know there's no downside to do whatever you want.
No consequence.
No consequence. That was the word I was looking for. Thanks. So you guys have seen the movie, The Purge?
Yes.
Yes.
This isn't The Purge, but for brazen criminals who, the video that I showed this week to my class, I don't know if I ever finished telling that story, but three guys walk out of a subway metro car. One guy stops, turns to the guy, and the guy goes, he's like getting ready to fight. And then this guy says something and he turns and this guy sucker punches him. And I paused it there. I go, do you think this is their first time doing that? Look how gorgeous that was, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I look at that, I go, these guys don't care that they're being recorded. They don't care that there's CCTV. They don't care if they kill the guy, if they punch him. They walked over. He was completely unconscious. They walked over and kicked him in the head again. They don't care because there's not enough cops to arrest me. And if they do arrest me, I'm going to be out of jail tomorrow because they're letting pedophiles and rapists and murderers out of jail. Are they going to keep me in jail for street fighting?
Well, to your point, this actually happened here in Ontario about 2 weeks ago. Police officer who just finished his 10-month probation was walking to a vehicle and he was shot and killed. Now, the person who killed him had gun charges and was released back into the community on bail. And then he ended up doing this, killing a police officer. So this right now infuriated
as an ambush.
This has infuriated now, obviously the public and the police services, because it's so frustrating to be in a system that almost goes against you.
Yeah. So I don't think it's philosophy. I don't think it's philosophy to answer, yes, violent crime has increased all over the world. I think I read a statistic recently that said that violent crime has gone down. I don't know what they're looking at. But even if the numbers have gone down, that might be because so many people have died. I don't
Yeah, there could be so many variables. I
Right.
think the better
But
question is not if it exists, it's can it happen? Does violent
yeah,
crime happen? Right?
and so some of the here's probably a come here, baby. Come here,
What
buddy.
do we got?
Say hi. Come say hi. We have 6 dogs here. Come say hi, baby. No.
Oh yeah.
Come here.
What kind of dog? What kind of dog is that, Tony?
He's an Armenian Gamper. You should Google them. These guys fight coyotes and bears.
Oh,
Come
Oh,
here.
nice.
Come here. You're being shy. So you got to see this guy. Come here.
Yeah. What's his name?
5. The number
Hey,
5.
I love it.
oh.
5.
My wife named him 5. He was our 5th dog. We've got 6.
I love
Our
it.
6th
5.
Our 6th dog isn't named 6.
It's like the numbers in Stranger Things, right?
Yeah. And that's where 5 came from.
Yeah, I used to love
My
it.
wife loved the character.
5. Get your sister 11.
Yeah. So I think the more interesting question isn't do you think crime has gone up? It's are criminals more brazen? That puts us more at risk. So
Yeah, that's a
home
good question.
invasions in the middle of the day, anywhere. Like
Yeah.
when did we ever see like homes in Beverly Hills just getting raided? When did you ever see Rodeo Drive boarded up? Like they've got so much money there. The bad guys know don't fuck with this area because whether like this connected guy and this guy with the suit who's friends with this guy, but when did you ever see streets boarded up because people could just loot how they wanted? And how many people died during that? So the idea that you might get caught in a mostly peaceful protest, right? And jammed up. So yeah, the fact that it's more spontaneous and people don't care, and the bad guys are going, well, there's less cops, the crimes have changed. If you're a cop in California, some of the new laws are ridiculous for cops. Like where it's like it's dangerous to approach somebody because if action's faster than reaction, remember my line, violence loves speed. And the bad guy knows this, and he knows you can't pull out your gun and shoot unless, like there was one, I don't even know if this was passed. You can't shoot at a bad guy unless he shot at you first. Some bullshit like, I mean, guys, thank you for getting me on the show and getting it out there. It was funny that you guys didn't know that I grew up in Canada.
Yeah, no idea.
I moved to Virginia Beach in 2009. We did a massive deal with the U.S. Army for our high gear suits, our scenario suits. By the way, SETCAN in Canada is our official distributor. Don't buy the copycat gear, buy the official gear. I'm not going to mention names and get us in trouble. Not us in trouble, get you guys in trouble and controversy there. But if you need our gear, hit us up. We'll put you in touch with the guys at SETCAN. But the reality is if you're jiu-jitsu, Krav Maga, boxing, MMA, your whatever system you are, the spear system is going to enhance your safety. So if you think of violence like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and the bottom tier on Maslow's pyramid is survival, and the top one is self-actualization. So you want to be the best version of yourself you can be, but a lot of people focus on the technique and the complex motor skills here, and they don't know what they would do in a holy shit situation.
Yeah.
And we can't be cavalier or dogmatic about violence. When I watch violence, when I watch something truly violent, my first reaction isn't, oh, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? My first reaction is, holy shit. My first reaction, I recoil from the fear and the imagined pain, and I'm disgusted by it. And I abhor violence, which is why I've created a holistic system. And where it's emotional, psychological, physical, and everything in the system must be intertwined for it to be effective in a high stress situation.
I want to say something what you just said. This is incredibly profound. You just said when you see a violent video with everything you know You could be accused of having the curse of knowledge. You're a guru. You're one of these teachers. You're a legend in this space, but you have not got to a point of knowledge that you lack empathy. You just said you see the video and you feel, what would it have been like to be surprised with that brazen violence? How brutal, how disgusting. Okay, I think that's incredible. That's amazing. And I think that's a lesson to anyone. Get off your armchair, and don't stop scrutinizing from the sideline. There's something, I think you've been so in the fire constantly, Tony, that it's purified even your eyes in that intention. That's incredible. If anything that has qualified you to train other people is what you just said there. You still, after it being 40 plus years, have empathy for the victim. That is the only thing that qualifies you to help protectors and other victims moving forward. That's amazing. That's incredible, Tony.
Mike, thank you for sharing that. And you gave me goosebumps. I mean, no one's ever articulated it like that. And you're obviously a very thoughtful, introspective human. And I appreciate you. And I appreciate that. I had never thought about it that way, in using the empathy and stuff like that. But it is interesting. And literally today, we had a first responders class online today. And I said to them, I'm hijacking the show a little bit more, right? When we see, let's say, somebody posting their time on a course of fire on Instagram, and the guy goes like this, he goes, beep, right? Boom, and he's out with his gun, and then he shows you like his timer. He goes, 0.73. Ready? Beep. And you're going, wow, this guy's fast and accurate. I go, well, first of all, nobody's showing you all the practice.
Yeah, it's just the highlights.
Nobody's showing you the misfires or malfunctions.
Yeah.
And what they're showing you is the highlights, as you said. But what's missing, and this is something I write about all the time, we call it ACP, awareness, consent, preparation. You know you're at the range. You know you're filming. You know how far the target is. You know what your load is, your ammo. You know that the timer is going to go off randomly at a certain time because you set it because you're filming yourself or you got somebody else. You ready? Range is hot. Hold on a sec. Camera. Change the what has that got to do with real violence?
It's nothing.
And while we can appreciate the technique, the reality is when a threat presents itself, because violence loves speed, you need to navigate the emotional, psychological duress before the mind navigates the body that says, draw, shoot. And that always, so between stimulus response is refractory delay, you need that delay. So one of the things that we talk about and teach in the system is understanding the difference between quickness and suddenness. Quickness is what we see on Instagram. Suddenness, we don't. Suddenness is your ability to move quickly in response to a realistic stimulus.
Yeah. Which means you might look sloppy, which means it may not be perfect technique, but you got something done.
And to build on that, we need to start focusing on primal gross motor movement and then move to a gross motor, then complex motor skill. And that's the whole SPEAR frame is primal gross motor, push away danger, gross motor, then move in, threat, discriminate. So the conversion that happens like as fast as an airbag, literally, the conversion of it actually is congruent with the neurobiology of movement, which is why this works so quickly under duress. And that's why I say, I love the metaphor, I shared it earlier. Your startle-flinch is a biological airbag, and it will deploy like an airbag does in a sudden violent encounter. Imagine if you were driving, and I always ask this question, you guys are good drivers, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you've both been in car accidents, and it was
absolutely,
and it's always been the other guy's fault.
Absolutely.
and this is a universal answer. We're laughing, but it's a universal answer for most people. I go, so you're sitting at the light and a drunk driver drives into you at a speed that you're going to get fucked up if the airbag doesn't deploy. Or you're on the road, it's Toronto, winter, black ice, friggin' multi-car pileup, airbag. Or it's actually an attack on principle. You're in the car, somebody fucking clips the car, you're spinning, it's airbags deploy. Airbags save lives. So the idea here is this: imagine if your airbag was installed, but you needed to push a button on your radio console.
Oh my goodness, manual response.
Imagine if during the high stress moment you're like, oh fuck. It's beside the A and FM button.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to do it because it's too much of a complex motor skill. There's too much specificity there.
Yes.
So
yes.
in this metaphor, and I've dragged everyone too deep into this, but that's to me
good.
that's what complex motor skills are like. Hey, when the guy's trying to kill you, get your thumb on his third metacarpal bone, grab his hand here and drive his pinky here. Look at, I'm going, wait a minute. Let's start off with holy shit, primal gross motor, deploy the airbag, recalibrate, threat discriminate.
Yeah, awesome. You're harnessing what's instinctively there. I think is amazing. It's brilliant.
Well, we've thrown a lot of nuggets today, and I think if anyone wants to hear some more nuggets, sign up for this course.
Yes.
Okay, that's coming up February 28th to March 3rd. Tony, thank you so much for your time, man. I think we definitely have to do another session here because I think we just did chapter 1 today.
Yeah, we're getting started. This is the beginning of a beautiful friendship, Tony.
Yeah, no, you guys are a lot of fun. I dig it. I love your energy. I love some of your insights. Really, really deep. I look forward to meeting you. Either of you going to be in Vegas at SHOT Show?
No, we just got back from the Protectors. We were there for the conference, but we just got back. Are we going right now? As of no, right?
I mean, right now it's a no right now.
Yeah,
but we have been known to be spontaneous.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, guys, if you need anything, reach out to me. And thank you.
I appreciate it so much, and we cannot wait for our beautiful Canadian Toronto city to kind of embrace this and come down. And thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure, Tony.
Okay, guys, stay safe.
Okay,
amazing,
thanks,
man.
Brother.
Take care.
Hug 5 for us. See you, brother.
See you, Tony.
This podcast is brought to you by Executive Protection Lifestyle Canada. Make sure to drop by next week and don't forget to subscribe.